Welcome to another edition of 805 Sports Talk, and the big news this week is the Way Water Polo team 12 and under squad making the Junior Olympics. It's the first time a team from this area has made the Junior Olympics at a 12 and under team. It's the first time Way Water Polo has sent a team to the Junior Olympics, so they are very excited about that fact. I caught up with some of the players and Coach Miles Whitfield on Tuesday. They've been practicing pretty hard at Paul Nelson Pool. And the Junior Olympics are coming up July 28th in Southern California, and we'll see how they do in the first appearance for a Central Coast team at the Junior Olympics.
It's been an incredible process, and we're just really happy for the boys that they've been able to accomplish this. It's been fun to watch them work hard and learn a lot about the game, and it's also been fun to see they're maturing as young adults, and they've gone from basically age 10 to age 12, kind of under our coaching, and so it's been fun to watch them learn how to work hard, learn how to play the sport properly, and really learn some excellent water skills that they will use throughout the rest of their lives, and also in their academic careers they can learn how to persevere through tough times, and do all kinds of wonderful things. So it's been a really fun process watching them develop as players and as human beings.
It's like a team effort. Some games it's like it relies you have to block for goals to save the game, but some games we just blow the other team out and they just support goals. It feels really good going, considering the fact that we're the only Central Coast team or team from this area to ever make it to that level. I like getting to block it and kind of control the game, throwing it to my friends, blocking, saving goals. I like the part which is it's a pretty fast sport too. It's not slow like baseball, which is 3 hours. And I like how it's fast sport. It's fun, competitive. Best part is after we play, I get to hang out with all my friends at the hotel, at the pool deck. We play games. We just hang out. It's pretty nice to have your friends which go to your school on the team. It's really fun to have that.
I feel great. I've been preparing for ever since I started water polo just to win the Junior Olympics. Remember last year we didn't make it, so let's just work hard for next year. After we lost the JOs, we began working on practices regularly, but we started doing more camps with Olympians or championship winners. We just recently did a week before JOs, we did a Greg Enlow camp, and he taught us a lot. This team's awesome. I know everyone here. Most of us go to the same school. I'm good friends with everyone here. And we have a lot of fun. We scrimmage, we hang out outside of water polo. It's a bunch of fun.
It feels pretty good. It makes us feel like we're really a good team, that we have good coaches, and that's why we're doing good too. It feels good, I guess. It's good to be in Junior Olympics and surprised to make it qualified. So at first, when I saw the team, I was because I wasn't that good either, I barely even played, and so I was we're probably not going to. And then once we got new players, we got Logan Tall, we got John, and they're both really good, and we started winning a lot of games, and then we got to Junior Olympics, which was great. For the next couple of weeks, for me, what I need to do is I need to get better at swimming, and for the team, we just gotta, I think, work on maybe passing and better shots in high corners or low corners if the goalie's taller. And for the couple weeks in the last week, we're probably just gonna keep it easy the rest of the week and just have calm practices and tapering.
I'm really excited, and I think we're gonna do very well. Always try to have a good time, and we play as a team always, and I think we'll do a good job.
We'd love to see our program continue to grow, boys and girls, 14 and under, 12 and under, 10 and unders. Ideally, we'd love to have teams going to Junior Olympics at all of these levels. So that's what we're really hoping for, and hoping that this will help build. It's a great experience for the kids, and they really get a lot out of it. And playing this sport, which is generally considered one of the hardest sports to play at a young age, builds a lot of character, and it builds a lot of perseverance and self-esteem for the kids. So it's a great sport for the kids, and we're really excited about this team getting a chance to compete against the nation's best and have a great experience there.
So moving away from water polo and to the diamond, there's other youth club teams trying to advance. Kenny, you've been busy covering the District 65 tournament at Nipomo Little League. Those are the big dogs in Little League. There's 4 age groups and talent divisions, and District 65 over there in Nipomo is the highest group. What have you seen so far? Who looks to be the stronger team? Have you seen some standout players? How's the action looking over there at Nipomo?
I would say any one of several teams, I would say, would be in contention. But let's put it this way, it would not surprise me if Santa Maria West Side and Orchid American wound up playing for the championship. The West Side Indians rallied to beat the Orchid American Yankees for the Elks Valley Little League Championship. And a lot of those same players from both teams are playing for West Side and Orchid American respectively. In fact, both coaches from the Indians and the Yankees are coaching for West Side and Orchid American now. I thought Santa Maria North Side looked pretty impressive with their power display. Nipomo, I thought yesterday looked pretty impressive with their hitting. So I would say any one of several teams could still be in contention there.
Now, you've been covering the District 65 tournament for a while now. Have you seen a continual rise in level of play? Is it pretty much steady at that level, at the Little League level, or do you think these guys keep getting better and better every year?
I would say it's fairly consistent. I think in some years there has been a slight rise, in some years a slight drop off. This year I think it is pretty steadily high. To be honest, I have not seen a team I think could match up to the South Side team of several years ago with Trevor Garcia and Slim Lopez and that bunch when they almost made it out of and Jaden Libers when they almost made it out of the sub-regional. But I think the level of play is pretty solid.
Okay. Elliot, you've seen the TOS guys at the minor division there playing at Seamus Park, which is Southside's home field. How are things looking over there? Who are some better teams that you've seen, and what have you seen out of the level of play over there?
Well, there's 2 Santa Maria teams that are doing well, and Lompoc and Los Osos team. So far, Santa Maria North Side and Santa Maria West Side, Lompoc's team and what they call the Coast Little League, it's based out of Los Osos. Those have been the strongest 4. Lompoc and Santa Maria North Side are both looking good. They hit the ball well. They've got really outstanding pitching. And now, this is my favorite group because these are the 7 to 10-year-olds. So for many of them, it's their first taste of getting into Little League tournament play. Every division, by the way, there's 4 different divisions, and 10-year-olds are eligible to play in each of the division. So the best of the 10-year-olds are up where Kenny's been watching, up at the 10, 11, 12 tournament, the oldest kids, and those are the strongest teams. But then there's a 9, 10, 11, an 8, 9, 10, and then the Tournament of Stars is 7 through 10. So you can have 10-year-olds, excuse me, in each of the divisions. But the thing that impresses me so much is the pitching of these kids at the lowest level. There have been some really good pitchers, and some really good games. I saw Nipomo and Santa Maria West Side, they were tied 5-5 Sunday after 6 innings, and that's the end of the game. But of course it's a tournament, so they go to extra innings. And unfortunately what happens is because of pitch limits and you use up all your best pitchers trying to get the win, at that point Nipomo just really ran out of pitchers, and Santa Maria West Side was able to rack up 8 runs in the 7th inning, and Nipomo just didn't have any answers. So that's a danger at that level, that you all of a sudden finding a kid that's a really good shortstop and you need him to pitch because you got nobody left of your regular pitchers that were pitching during the regular season. But the best pitchers go up in the older divisions, so they don't have as many from which to choose in the Tournament of Stars. But I've always thought that was the most fun. And you know, you mentioned kids like Jaden Libertus and Slim Lopez. Kenny and I have been covering the Little Leagues for years here. This is our 17th year that we've seen these kids. And a lot of these kids, like Jaden and Slim, we saw them in these Tournament of Stars games years ago. You think, well, some of these kids are going to be the ones on the high school teams. They'll be going to the playoffs. They'll get All-CIF recognition. And this is where it all starts, and that's why I like them the best, because they're a lot of fun. They try hard. The kids are just great. They all have so much enthusiasm. It's just great, and so I like them the best. I've been getting as many of those games as I can. But so Santa Maria's got 2 teams that are doing well, and Lompoc and the Coast Little League. And one other last little note: of all the different tournaments, of the 4 of them, the Tournament of Stars has the most teams. It's got 11 teams in it. And the one Kenny's been at is 10 teams, and the other 2 are 7 and 8 teams. So this is where you see more kids getting a chance to play, and with the proper encouragement, we see them going on, many of them going on to play later in the 10, 11, 12 tournament that Kenny's covering, and of course in junior high school and high school ball. So it's a lot of fun, and of course these tournaments are going on through the end of June. So there's still a lot more baseball to come, and we'll be there. Of course, we'll be putting it in the paper, and it'll all be online, and we're going out to games tonight as soon as we get done here. So it's a lot of fun, and stay with us. You'll get all the action too.
Yeah, so the Little Leaguers are still playing. The high school level wrapped up a while ago. You know, the championship games were more than 2 weeks ago. So that means the All-CIF teams were released this week. And we had some big news with the Santa Maria baseball team winning a CIF championship. Of course, they were well represented on the All-CIF team in Division 6. And Paul Navarro is the Division 6 Player of the Year. Congratulations to Paulie Sr., shortstop and a dynamite pitcher for that team. Had a number of great performances in the postseason. Helped that team win a championship. Trevor Garcia, who pitched in the championship game, had a 4-hit complete game shutout against Moreno Valley for that championship. Also made the All-CIF team in Division 6. And Tommy Herrera, the team's catcher, a sophomore, also made the All-CIF team in Division 6. So congratulations to those Saints. I think they could have had a lot more players on that team. Slim Lopez, one of the guys we mentioned, had a great season. He could have been on that team. Isaiah Garcia was great throughout the season. He could have been on that team. So, they don't want to have the full one team on the All-CIF team. So they had a little limit there. But I think, having 3 guys landed on that team was great. And, of course, Rigetti was pretty well represented. Matt Sauer and Alex Castellanos were both on the Division 3 All-CIF team. I think Matt Sauer probably had a case for Division 3 Player of the Year, but that usually goes to, or almost always goes to, the team that wins that championship. So Sauer did get recognized All-CIF. Kenny, I'll start with you. What do you think about the All-CIF teams in baseball and softball? Any snubs? Anyone you think was on the team that you were happy to see got All-CIF recognition? How do you feel about those teams?
To be honest, I did think that all the players who did land on those teams did deserve it. To be honest, I don't think I saw any glaring snubs as far as who was left off the teams.
Yeah.
Well, there are a couple, like you mentioned, Slim Lopez, that probably would have been good enough to make it, but they had 4 people already on that All-CIF team, and I think they said, well, we can't make it the entire Santa Maria team. Santa Maria carried 10 players. 9 of them are in the field. So they only had 1 sub all year until the playoffs. Then they added 3 kids from the junior varsity. So when you think about that, they didn't have 15 kids. They didn't have 18 kids. They had 10 kids that took them to the playoffs, and they rode them to the division championship. And I tell you, they could have had more kids on that team, but I think the CIF said 4 is going to be plenty. But that was the most of any team. I was counting it out, and that was the most of any team in all the divisions. So Santa Maria got a significant amount of recognition.
It's almost as if they were the Bad News Bears plus 4. That's the way I look at Santa Maria's run. I mean, just so many just high praise for this team, and they're actually going to be honored on Friday at the Farmers Market.
Yeah, that's what we kind of wanted to see after they won the championship, see how the community, kind of reacted to that. And, if they'll get, a commendation or something from the mayor, get honored from the city. And so that's going to happen Friday night, which is cool. They're at the Farmers Market. It's always good to see. I know last summer with the Olympians that we had, Josh Pernot was honored over there. So that was cool that they're kind of, bringing out the red carpet for the Santa Maria baseball team. So that's good to see. Kind of goes hand in hand with All-CIF is our all-area teams. And we're publishing the all-area baseball team this weekend. You know, we talked about it a little bit, you know, before the postseason ended, but it looked like there was going to be a clear front runner, clear choice for All-Area MVP in Matt Sauer, just with the dominant season he was having. But we do, you know, take postseason performance into consideration. So, you know, with the way Santa Maria played, winning a championship and having a number of players help lead them, that kind of made the race a little bit interesting, I think. You know, we don't want to give too much away before we publish everything, but Kenny, was it a tough choice for you at all to make your All-Area MVP choice with the way Santa Maria finished? You know, Paulie Navarro is a Division VI Player of the Year to get that All-CIF recognition. Was he kind of in the mix? You know, were you pretty much settled on who you were picking? How was your decision making?
It was a little hard, but I was pretty much settled by the time I made my vote.
Yeah,
there were several worthy players.
Yeah, I think I was the same
in.
way. It would have taken a pretty much Herculean effort to change my mind, and it was close. You know, it was almost there, but with what Matt Sauer did throughout the season, you know, it was going to be hard for me to kind of bump him off of that. Just great, and you know, he's a second-round pick of the major league, so we don't have too many times where we're putting all area team together, and we're trying to, you know, put the stories together, and we have to get in touch with the guy who's playing rookie ball or, you know, dealing with the MLB draft process. So that was kind of fun dealing with that. Elliot, looking at you, what did you think about the all-area team putting that together?
Well, you know, I think Santa Maria suffered because their big three, Paulie Navarro, Trevor Garcia, and Tommy Herrera, they kind of like knocked each other off a little bit. You know, that if one of them stood out, they may have been able to edge Sauer with my vote, but they, you know, you can't have three of them as the All-Area MVP. So I thought all of them deserved to be on our first team, but Sauer edged him out. I mean, he had an outstanding year, and how can you argue with the fact that if Major League Baseball thinks he's good enough to be a second-round pick of the Yankees, you know, we're not talking about a team that is a traditional doormat, you know, that just picks up players. I mean, there are teams that just are awful year in and year out. I don't want to get into it, but Florida Marlins do come to mind. But he's picked by the Yankees, and the Yankees, you know, they were pretty astute judges of talent. They got a kid that's hitting a ton for them. This Judge kid, that I hated to see him beat my beloved Red Sox, but they find kids like that, and they found Sauer. So if they think he's good enough to be a second-round draft pick, remember, we're all big fans of Danny Duffy. Unfortunately, he's got a strained muscle, and he's out of the lineup right now, but he last year became the ace of the Kansas City Royals. He's won a World Series, and he was a third-round draft choice. Matt Sauer is a second-round draft choice, so the Yankees gave him a lot of respect, and I think that might have been the tipping point, that he got that kind of respect. We gave him that kind of respect too.
Yeah, I don't know if the Yankees have won a game since they drafted him last week. They lost 7 in a row, so hopefully that.
Maybe they need him up to come up more quickly than they thought.
Well, we don't want them to rush him to the majors. We've seen that happen before with pitchers, and they blow out their arms. And we saw a kid, Josh Thomas, was it, or John Thomas? Which of the Thomas?
John Thomas.
John Thomas got
drafted by
the San Francisco Giants, and blew out his arm on like the very first day of spring training and never recovered. So we don't want to see that happen. We want to have a nice long career and a successful career, but I would like to see them bring him up, just not next week.
The Yankees tend to know how to develop players, though, and when to bring them up.
Yeah,
and
Judge is 25, and he's
you
know, pretty much a rookie. So they, you know, he went to college though, but they've kind of brought him along slowly. They haven't had that need to rush through their farm system, even though they've kind of changed their philosophy.
That's the ideal way to do it.
Yeah. Lorenzo, this was your first time putting together an all-area baseball team with us. What was it like for you? Were there any tough decisions to make, or was it a pretty easy process?
You know, for me, it was pretty easy to identify MVP, Team of the Year, the main awards, but then it came down to remembering some of the players, impact players I saw on my end in Lompoc and Cabrillo, wanting to make sure that those guys also got mentioned. I mean, guys like Justin Allen, Jesse Gasca as well, so I wanted to make sure that those guys got some kind of recognition as well, especially considering how they still managed to get Lompoc to the playoffs despite the coaching change.
Yeah, and Cabrillo is right there as well. Just missed out on the playoffs, so I'm sure they'll have some players represented. And then, of course, we'll have the softball teams the week following, so be sure to check out for that, and we'll talk about that a little bit more next week. Moving on to some football news, a guy who's kind of on the national scene as well is Levon Coleman. He'll be a senior at Washington. We saw him play at Lompoc when he was in high school. He had a great redshirt junior season at Washington, but he made some time to come to his hometown and at Houck Stadium last week. And Lorenzo, you caught up with him. What was it like catching up with Mr. Coleman?
He was very, very humble and down to earth. And one of the things that he told me that really resonated with me was that when you look back at, and I'm sure you guys remember how recruiting-wise, I mean, Lompoc's football scene was pretty dead. Well, Coleman was really the first prominent national recruit since Napoleon Kaufman. Well, Levon didn't want that spotlight. He said it was my senior class that opened up that recruiting well. It goes to show you that he's not really a me guy. He's more of a we guy. So there's that aspect. And then not only that, he's actually on track to graduate with a degree in anthropology in December. So he's going to be one of those early graduates. So props to him on that regard. And he figures to be an integral part of that running back rotation at Washington. And we saw how run-heavy Chris Peterson likes to be. So you figure there's going to be a good dosage of that this upcoming season.
Yeah, it's been fun watching him the last 4 or so years. He redshirted, played as a freshman, had a really good freshman season as a redshirt freshman, didn't have much of a sophomore season. I think they tried to switch him to fullback a little bit. And then last year he had a great season, I think over 800-something yards, some touchdowns. He looked really good as Washington, almost made the national championship game, losing to Bama in the semifinals, but he was an integral part of that rushing attack. It's good to see him kind of stick that out and become a foundation piece of that Washington football team, even though they had a coaching change and stuff like that.
Well, and that hard work should pay off, and that dedication, because now he's got to be, if not the featured back. Last year he was like the number 2 back, but because they didn't want to have one guy carry the load, so that he got his carries, he got his reps, as they say. I see him getting more, and even if he doesn't claim the mantle of the number 1 back, he won't drop any further than he was. So he should be an important part of that team. You got USC and UCLA improved. You can never count Oregon out. So there's going to be some talent in that league, and it'll be fun to play. And one of the things that, to his credit, not only is he stuck it out, but he's playing against the best of the country.
Yes, he is.
So he's an impressive young man. He has been since we first met him way back when. And he's done nothing to change my attitude, my opinion, that he's really a cool kid, a smart young man who's got good things ahead of him.
And now that he's in his 5th year at Washington, he's going to be one of those locker room leader types as well.
He's been up there.
Now the bar's he knows the bar's set even higher up there.
But he knows what to expect, and he welcomes that challenge. It's not as though he shies away from it. He's not a rah-rah kind of guy, but he is a team leader.
Yeah. All right, that's all we got for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in to the latest edition of 805 Sports Talk. Be sure to check out our all-area coverage publishing Sunday in the Santa Maria Times and Lompoc Record. And we'll see you next week.